I thank both of our witnesses for your testimony. Chairman Steil, let me just ask you, in 2004, Congress passed the Secure ID Act. It was one of the 9/11 recommendations. In fact, Congressional Democrats at the time were really anxious that the 9/11 recommendations be adopted into law. And the consequence of one of the 9/11 recommendations was that there be citizenship verification on state-issued IDs. So I know, the reason I'm asking is because I thought in your testimony you said there was not a requirement, but in Texas, I was required to show a birth certificate or passport when I renewed a driver's license prior to a couple of years ago. And I thought that was because of the Secure ID Act that Congress had passed, and that all states now had come into conformity with the legislation passed by Congress in 2004, which again was a bipartisan piece of legislation. So is that now a requirement?
You do not need to be a U.S. citizen to get a real ID. Real ID can be used as a mechanism to show citizenship status if the state indicates that on the real ID, but you do not need to be a U.S. citizen to obtain a real ID.
So that does not.
In and of itself, it does not. It could be modified in a manner that would allow that, where you could identify a citizen on a real ID. A state could take that action. That would be a great step forward to enhance the integrity of our election.
Is that something that you've looked at your committee?
We've not delved into it in great detail, other than in the broader package of election proposals that we put forward. We have explored that as a mechanism that would be, I think, incredibly helpful in the U.S. election system.
Well, let me just ask you, can you address what Mr. Morelli said, that there's been no evidences? You've had the hearings in your committee. You looked at the evidence. Is there evidence that this, in fact, is necessary, the SAVE Act that we're bringing forward?
We've held a number of hearings, listened from a number of experts, and there is consistent evidence of non-citizens voting in U.S. elections, which is why this legislation is essential. We could look at a House race in 1996, a contested House race where, under further review, 624 non-citizens voted in a House race in California. And as we know, one of our colleagues is here who won by 6 votes in the state of Iowa. And so every single individual who's a non-citizen who votes illegally cancels out the vote of a U.S. citizen, and often we know House races are narrowly decided. And when we look back at the empirical evidence, and you see in 1996 over 600 non-citizens did vote, we can look at Fairfax County, Virginia, not far from where we sit here in our nation's capital. In 2011, we know over 117 individuals voted. We know that individuals are on the voter rolls in states like Ohio, where their Secretary of State recently removed those individuals. So we continually see this challenge prop up, which is exactly why this legislation is essential to pass.
Well, I thank you for your work on this. I thank you for your time and attention today. I'll yield to Mr. McGovern for any questions he might